Okay, we'll start out with an image taken yesterday during an overflight by Frank and others. You've seen this kind of a picture before. This shows the flow front of the lava flow that yesterday afternoon had traveled 10 miles from Pahoa over the past several weeks. This is Kauai Homesteads. As I mentioned, it just sort of kissed the northwest corner as it traveled downhill. This is what the leading edge of the lava flow looks like from a helicopter. It's really hard to see the lava that's passing through these trees. A very typical lava flow, according to Daryl's overflight today, was about 300 to about 500 feet wide. The width of the flow varies over time depending on the slope and how much lava is actually delivered out to the flow front. As the lava is moving through these trees, the initial flow is quite thin, maybe only 1 or 2 feet thick, or even thinner. But it can thicken through time over several hours and several days to 6 to 10 feet, and sometimes even thicker than that. This is a view of the lava flow, just 1,500, 2,000 feet from behind the flow, looking out towards Pahoa town and the coast up here in the corner. And you'll notice that the flow back here is a little wider. That's very typical of an advancing Pahoa flow, that the wider part tends to be towards back behind the leading edge and can widen out to 1,000 feet, as in approximately this case, and it can even widen out further over time, particularly as lava leaks out of the lava tube, which is coursing its way down through the middle of this flow. So it's important to keep in mind as we think about an advancing lava flow that what you see initially is quite narrow, maybe only a few hundred feet wide, but then it progressively will get wider. How wide depends on a lot of factors. So when we fly out to the volcano, we're concerned about where the leading edge of the flow is so that we can mark its location over time and track its rate of advance, which is very important for trying to project the flow over the next several days to a couple of weeks. But we also travel along the entire 10 miles of that lava flow so that we can see if there are significant breakouts occurring along the lava tube that goes through the middle of the flow. We're trying to get a sense for how much of that lava that's being erupted right from Pahoa is actually being transported through the lava tube and delivered to the front of the flow. I think some of you have been here long enough that you recognize during Kalapana days that a lava tube can break down, it can leak out the side, and therefore divert lava from the leading edge. In this case, this lava tube is very, very stable. The lava flow that passed from Pahoa all the way out to here is relatively narrow, which means it traveled a little faster, but also it's a little thicker. So the tube is well insulated, and it's a very efficient way for the lava to get from Pahoa all the way out to the flow front. So from Pahoa, there is a fissure located right here, and this is a fissure, one of the 4 fissures that erupted on June 27th, out the side of the flank. And this fissure, this location here, is about 130 feet below the rim of Pahoa. So lava is traveling through the cone of Pahoa from the crater out to this fissure and directly into the lava tube. You've probably seen some pictures of the Tribune Herald. The Tribune Herald had a really nice picture today of a geologist trying to measure the rate of speed of the lava traveling through the tube, and that photograph was taken along one of these skylights up here on the cone. And so when we do go out to observe Pahoa, when we get a chance, we try to measure how much lava is passing through that tube. And we've been very successful in getting some couple of measurements over the past few weeks, and that leads us to know that a pretty high rate of lava is flowing from Pahoa into the lava tube. It's at about the same rate as the long-term average during the past 31 years of Pahoa. So it's not unusual at all. But it does mean there's a pretty high discharge of lava from Pahoa that's going into this lava tube system. And because the tube is not leaking, the lava is being delivered to the front end, almost all of it. There are several active small little craters or ponds inside of Pahoa. And so that's one of the things we track over time. And one of the things we've learned is that the height of those lava level in those ponds really has not changed. It's been very, very stable, which means that lava is coming into Pahoa and it's going right through that vent, the fissure, into the lava tube system. So if we see variations in any of these things I'm talking about, we report those on our update. We're really interested in it because we're trying to track whether there's a change in the amount of lava that's being delivered to the front of the flow. So let's back up a little bit. This is a photograph I received from a former volunteer at HVO this afternoon. He flew at a very high level. What you can see here is the leading edge of the lava flow and the wood smoke from the forest burning right around the margins of the flow. And if you look back here, you can see a little bit of fume that's coming from the edges of the lava flow. And all the way back up here is Pahoa. And if you're really good, you can see this. This is up at the summit of Kilauea of Halimamau. So you've listened to us over the past 2 weeks trying to share with you where we think the lava flow is going to travel based on the slope of the ground. And we've tried to portray those likely paths of lava with little blue lines on a map. And when we present these maps, we have a lot of information on them. We've changed some of the things on them based on the input that you provided to us over the past couple of weeks. I imagine that may continue in the future. But in general, I wanted to just point out, the next slide I'll show you is the map. And those are the maps that we have displayed across the room. But in general, the lava flow path, based on the slope of the ground, is going to take the lava flow down through this way, right past the transfer station, and then down through the middle of Pahoa to the north of the post office. That's where the low-lying area is in the middle of Pahoa. So these are, let's go ahead and just go to the map. So I'll try to get you oriented here. North is up at the top. Here's Pahoa. Here is the leading edge of the lava flow as of yesterday afternoon. Daryl mentioned that the flow had traveled 300 plus yards, 400 plus yards, which would put it right about that, right there where those two little blue lines meet. And what we have here are dates that locate the leading edge of the lava flow when the flow was at that point. So on September 6th, one of the important dates here is on September 6th, the lava escaped these series of cracks that we talked about and started to flow north and then towards the northeast. These blue lines represent paths of steepest descent. They're based on a digital elevation model of the ground, and you can calculate where the steepest path is. If you were to dump a sheet of water across this whole landscape here, these blue lines indicate where that water is most likely to flow. And lava flows just like water. It flows downhill, and it wants to flow toward the steepest descent, the steepest path. So by looking at these lines, these blue lines, one can see, given the location of the lava flow, the path is pretty well marked off towards the northeast, and you can travel this down. Here's the transfer station again, and off through the village road. At the current rate of flow, so at about 960 feet a day, you just do the math, the flow is likely to reach this transfer road here, transfer station on Pahoa Road, on about September 25th. And so if you extend that rate for the next several days, it's expected to reach the village road on about September 29th. I want to emphasize, when we put these numbers out on our daily updates, those are estimates based on the average advance rate of the flow at the time. And the rate of flow has varied considerably in the past several weeks, from as low as about 700 feet a day to as high as about 1,300 feet a day. So this is just a little close-up view. Just to emphasize, here's the transfer station again. We put a little purple arrow there to help guide you, to suggest that lava flow is moving in that general direction, or specific direction, I should say. And so track these blue lines on the website when we put up these new maps. One thing to keep in mind, I've had several people ask, are these cracks? Are the blue lines cracks? Are the blue lines streams? Are they little lines that run down across the ground? What we're trying to do here is represent where the path of the flow is likely to go based on the slope of the ground. And so when we project a lava flow moving along those lines, widen that line. Remember, I said the leading edge is 300 to 500 feet wide, and the section behind the leading edge can be as 1,000 feet wide. So that's what we're facing as these flows advance downhill on those paths of steepest descent. Okay, this is it's trying to show the same thing, but in a different way. We put this product out online yesterday. Frank is the one that generated it. So if you have specific questions, be sure to talk to Frank, but everybody here can talk about this map. So this map is using a satellite image as the base. Here's Pahoa homesteads. Here's the transfer station that we've been using as a marker. Here's downtown Pahoa. This is the bypass road here. Here's the school. This is the village road. So instead of, if blue lines don't work for you, if it's hard to understand those blue lines, we tried to put this product out. And these arrows are showing, in about the next 2 weeks, the path that the flow is very likely to take based on the slope of the ground. And we say 2 weeks so that right at about there, plus or minus a few hundred feet, because of the variation in flow rate, that's where we expect the lava to be in about 2 weeks.